Hi, my name is Dennis, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to talk about today about this little weapon right here. This is from Rock River Arms. It's an LAR8. You know, other people like DPMs call it the AR-10. Some people call it AR-25, and yada yada yada. But anyway, it's an AR style configuration of a NATO 7.62. This one is 7.62, 308. What can I say about it? It is normally a 24 to 26 inch barrel. This barrel is a match barrel, very thick, very heavy. The barrel alone itself weighs roughly about a little over 6 and some odd pounds, just a barrel. Anyway, so I had it cut to 20 inches, and I crowned it at 11 degrees and cleaned it up and everything else, polished it up. And I tapered the front 5 inches of the barrel just down. Well, you can see how much I cut it with the little ring there. I'll show that in a minute. But very little. I think it was like, I don't know how much it was. I did it by eye, how much I wanted it for cosmetic looking. It did have its normal gas block on there, which was a Picatinny sight mounting gas block on the front. It is a free floating barrel, but with the gas block that big, I wanted to reduce that weight on that barrel just a little bit in the effect of the whip. So I put a low profile JP low profile on the unit. So with that in mind, I'll let you see it. As you can see, the low profile gas block, it's smaller because the regular glass block would go from here all the way to here, and this one here is just about 1/2 of that size, and it is a lot smaller. Okay, but it is a free floating. The barrel is completely free in there. The gas tube that's going through is not touching anything of the receiver housing at all as it goes through. So it's completely free. And the nice thing about that is when it goes into the boat carrier group, it's just sitting inside the boat carrier group. The boat carrier group comes over it and it just sits in there, and it's not really a part of the boat carrier group. So the barrel is free floating. I put a Harrison bipod on it. I did that because they're good bipods. It has a ZLS scope because it's inexpensive and it works just fine. It has the zoom. It has illuminated retina. It's got a 10 to 40, is it, or something like that. But I find anything above 32, maybe 34 around there, when I zoom in, the light seems to diminish some. Okay. So now, with that in mind, it comes normally in a parkerized black. I cleaned it all up and Cerakoted what I want colors. I Cerakoted the main housing in titanium, and of course everything else I did in what they call graphite black. Okay, it has the Magpul PS2 for the 308 calibers. Okay, so it's kind of has a adjustable length of pull, cheek weld up and down. It has this, of course, the space for the monopod to sit in the back. Wait a minute, how to do that? Has the space in the back for the monopod. Okay, let me do that. Here you go. See, space back here for the monopod. I didn't get one on that yet. Maybe I'll pick one up. They're only about like $100, $112. But anyway, get that. Of course, it has the Rock River pistol grip enamel because it has a nice feel to it. Okay, two-stage Rock River two-stage trigger assembly in it. I went ahead and took the liberty and did a trigger job on this one. The pull is about like 3.5 pounds on the average to 3 1/4 pound pull. It works really nice. Okay, I did, when I cut the barrel, I had to do the crown job on it, and it's 11-degree crown, okay? And then I 1,000 grit smoothed it out, everything. And then on the chamber side of it, I polished the chamber of it, and so that the bolt carrier group and the bolt, when it goes into the chamber, it's nice and smooth, and really no sharp edges to accidentally grab hold of a piece of metal. Sometimes you find that those locking lugs will have such a sharp edge on them that if they touch another piece of metal and it has just a little bit of rough, they'll grab. And so I polished it all down where it doesn't have that. So let me tilt this. Okay, and you may not see me, but you can hear me. I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolt carrier group and the charging handle. Get that out of my way. There we go. And then I'm going to disassemble this part here. Okay. Normally these are really tough to do, and this is one of them. And I might go ahead and get that. What do you call it? There's something that you can get that helps make these things come loose a lot easier. Other than that, I kind of like it. A little tight. Rock River has a nice tight upper and lower receiver Marion system that I do like. I don't like the, having them where they'll tilt left and right and stuff like that. So this one here is a little tight, and it could be because of Cerakote. So let me put this barrel down, and upper receiver, and let me talk to you about the lower. Now the lower has some neat little adjustments done on it. Of course, you take down you have your pivot and your takedown pin, pivot pin, and they stay in place right now. But if I was to remove this pivot pin, the spring and all that would have to be, but I took care of that. It won't do that if I took this off. The pivot pin, takedown pin, and all its springs and everything stays inside. Same as if I was to mess around with the safety and remove the trigger assembly and the safety stays inside also. I did that for a reason, because when I clean a weapon, I don't find it always necessary to take down the safety. I don't find it always necessary to break down the trigger. I don't find it necessary to take out the buffer retention spring and a bunch of stuff. It's just unnecessary. So I did some modifications on it, and the modifications are like the same as the ones I did for the safety. I use a Allen screw, okay, and spring and retention pin, okay, pivot pin, retention pin, whatever you want to call it. Some of them had to be shortened up, either filed or either sanded, whatever, and doing that was okay, I had to do it. And so, because the reason being is I didn't want to have to tear them down all the time. So to do that, I'm going to move this a little bit and see if I can't get that focused in on there. Come on, focus in, guy. All right, here we go. All right, focus. All right. It'll focus someday. Come on. Wow. One of these days maybe some will work right for me. But as you can see, the Allen screw here, the spring is up inside, of course, and it's going, and the pin on top going into the safety mechanism. Okay? And that allows the safety to stay in place all the time. Why doesn't it? Anyway, that's what I did. I did that for the safety. I did that for this pin here, this takedown pin. And of course the pivot pin stays there. There's nothing you really can do about the pivot pin except for, you know, how you take it off and everything else by using the magnet system. But that's what I did. I did the same almost with this. This here is what we call the buffer tube retention pin. And if I was to take it out, let me back out here and push this down. I'll show you what I did there. This all can be done by any gunsmith or yourself. It's not really, but if you look inside there, come on, focus up, piece of junk, cameras, I hate junk things there. Anyway, if you look inside there, you'll see the pivot pin, and you'll see this other area here. It's kind of fat looking in here. This is part of a old buffer tube. And what I did is I cut the front face of the thread area of a buffer tube, cut it off about, oh, that's a little over a quarter, and, you know, kind of smooth it up. Use a hacksaw, cut it off. And then what I did, once I got it nice and smooth and all sanded up nice and properly, I put the spring, the retaining pin in there, and hand threaded this piece in all the way down until the buffer retaining spring stayed in place. So it works. It has free travel. See, it has free travel. And once I did that, I use red Loctite on the ring, so this ring will never move. And then if you see that black area behind it, that is another buffer tube. And I took that buffer tube, and as I was threading it on, I had to measure how much I was going to have to cut off, because, you know, buffer tubes can be different amongst themselves. And I found out that distance, cut off that front of it, smoothed it up, made it flat, the surface flat, so that when it marries with this other piece, there's no gap. The reason why you don't want no gap is because the buffer tube has this ridge, this little ridge. Well, you don't want that thing going up and down inside there and hitting that ridge all the time. So you had to just kind of smooth it up. Once you did that, then it works just fine. Oop, come on, you. There. So it works just fine. So now it just, and as you can see, the buffer tube goes right past that area and works like a champ. So when I tear it down, I don't have to worry about this. You know, if I've been shooting a lot with it and I need to clean this out because it's got a lot of carbon in there or something like that, I can do that. I can take off, if I'm changing the stock, I can take the stock off. I don't have to worry about this coming out. I don't have to worry about taking the trigger off and losing the pin and stuff of the safety, and I don't have to worry about losing the pin out of the buffer tube retaining pin. It all stays within the lower receiver area, and that's what I did to this. That's different. Okay, I hope that kind of shows some. I wish I could get that a little bit better picture. Why won't that focus? You know, I do need to get a camera. Anybody want to send me a suggestion on what type of camera to use, huh? Alright, guys, that's what I did with my 308. I hope that helps to explain some of the stuff. When you're looking at my video, you see this stuff happening. Now you know what I did to it. Shoots a nice tight little group. About 1.5 inches at 200 meters. That's a nice tight group. 1.5 inches, maybe an inch. Depends. I'm an old man. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. If I was young as I was when I was a sniper, then fine and dandy. But all right. If you have any comments down below, you know where to do it. Please leave them. Ask me questions about this. Ask me any other questions about any of the other videos, and I will try to get back to you as fast as I can. And this old veteran has just one other thing to say, and that's for you all. Y'all need to remember to do one thing. Keep the powder dry.